There are three major myths that permeate how everybody tends to look at workplace depression or workplace anxiety that have to be busted if you really want to be able to make some real changes, increase your quality of work, increase your income, advance your career, and obviously make sure that your home life is a lot better. The first major myth that really has to be busted is this idea that things are always going to be this way, or that this is just how it is. And I see this permeate specific industries in particular. Such industries as legal individuals who are in an attorney environment, people who are in finance, people who feel that they simply are in an environment where it necessitates a state of anxiety. And one thing I will share with you is that this is just not the case. I can say that because I've worked with so many individuals in different professional sectors that you'd have to be an idiot to not notice that there are very key differences between people who have even very comparable workloads but have very different mental health states. Meaning that there are certain tools that you're probably just simply not using or that you're not aware of that have to be applied if you want to be able to feel stable and feel like you're really showing up at your best in your professional environment. So the idea that things are just never going to change and this is just how it is for your industry has definitely got to go. The second major one is the idea that whatever you're dealing with, you should just deal with on your own. Okay, now I'll share with you why this is particularly pervasive, particularly for high-performing professionals who have gotten their degree, they've gotten their certifications, they've achieved the thing, they worked their tail off, they accomplished the goal. Those individuals who have had that level of determination has served them in a very important area of their life, right? But as you know, as a very intelligent professional, what works in one area is not always going to work in the other area. And so you can't just resist and push back against your depression or anxiety, pretend it's not there, or believe that you're just gonna, handle this by keeping a lid on a pot that's got boiling water in it. That's not how it works. That will boil over eventually. So we've got to understand that when you get yourself into a mindset that this is just something you have to handle, usually those people who are telling me that this is something they have to do on their own are the people who are abusing alcohol, abusing prescription drugs, or they are right before that stage happens. They're individuals who believe that this is something that just has to pass and that they just have to figure it out, that they just have to get their priorities straight, they just have to keep pressing on, they just have to keep doing the work. I call this roadrunner syndrome. It's like you just think that if you can just keep running fast enough and you don't look down, then you're not gonna fall. But there's literally no solid footing underneath you at all. So the other big danger with this, I'll tell you is that when you get yourself in a mindset that this is something you just have to figure out on your own and you are not willing to swallow your pride and get the advice or tools or strategies that you need from somebody who's experienced in this area, then you're gonna be in a position where you may end up making a decision that is gonna be irreversible. Because generally the people who end up deciding and contemplating taking their life are people who have convinced themselves that to properly seek the appropriate help for them would be a sign of weakness or would be a sign of shame. And even if they've never explicitly said that to themselves, that's what's guiding their decision making to stay reserved and deal with the problem by making the only decision they believe they can to eliminate the pain after months or years of continual hardship. And that's a decision that I know that you don't want to have. The third and final one, honestly, that you have to make sure that you eliminate, the third myth that you have to eliminate is the idea that things will just get better on their own. It's just not true. If you look and speak to anybody who's been dealing with these types of mental health challenges for a systemic period, you'll realize that things do not get better on their own. There are some instances where somebody's having a rough leg for just a couple of weeks. Maybe they got laid off or a breakup, and maybe they are in just a little bit of a slump for a short period of time, and then they rebound very quickly. But if you're dealing with something that has been going on for longer than 3 months, then that is now systemic. That is something that we need to look at and we need to approach from a systemic way so that we can actually rid that pattern out of your life. Okay? So these 3 dangerous ideas: that things are going to get better on their own, that things can never change, and that you can just handle this on your own by doing what you've already done. You're a smart person. It's enabled you to be successful to where you are right now. So reflect on the thing that you already do know, which is that what you've always done has been good enough to get you where you are now, but in order to get you somewhere else, you're going to have to do something different. So you got to get a new tool, new strategy, new approach. You got to make sure that you get what you need in order to actually close that gap. So I invite you, please share your thoughts below. I'd be very interested to hear what you have to say.